identify as that. I think I can agree. I am a sweaty mess.
Is that what you identify as now? A sweaty mess?
Yes.
A ball sucking crack sweaty mess. And we need a sign around you saying,
well,
slippery when wet.
The thing is, you see, I prefer to identify as than look like a ball sack, you ugly twat.
So you're trying to imply that I am one.
I'm not implying anything. Facts are facts.
Are we going there now, Mr. Twat?
You started it.
Oh, listen. I thought I'm going to see Mr. Friendly Dave, the twat, in the morning, but we're just seeing...
Right, exactly. So you
that's started.
What's my name? What have you put as my name?
That's why I've edited your name.
You did that before we even started. Right.
Good morning, guys. This is the new podcast, Sunday Blessed, with me, your main man, ZKK, and Mr. Dave Crossland, a.k.a. he's a bully. Guys, he's a bully. And I'm going to teach you guys on a Sunday how to fight back with bullies, okay? So for this morning's lesson on this Sunday, Blessed is going to be don't let people like Dave bully you into doing things like 20 reps times 50 drop sets times 50 lunges times 50 walking the home times 50 crawling home until you can't fucking move. But
you've never done that, you lazy git.
Oh, you make me do it, but you don't.
You wait till next week.
Actually,
no, I'm in Glasgow next week.
Dave, tell me.
Yes, sir.
What have you been up to this week? I know that a lot of people from my neck of the woods don't know who you are because they just know you as Mr. Twat. So just explain a bit about yourself, what you do, because I do tell people, you know, how important blood work is. So we don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of it, but we just want people to know exactly what you do for the bodybuilding community, and not even the bodybuilding community, just the normal community, you know, who are basically want to look after their health.
I am a professional pie eater.
Yeah.
Come on. All right. Along with my wife, we run Eval, which is a blood testing company. We did initially set up catering for the sports and fitness sort of community, but we now probably half our customer base is people who exercise and train regularly, and the other half is just everyday people. So we're a private, but we don't do anything specialized. We look at the main general markers, you know, things like hormones, liver, kidneys, blood values, thyroid, that sort of stuff. And I'd like to think that we give practical and understandable information based off the results.
Yeah. So what type of people would actually come to you? What are the type of people would reach out for you, or what type of people should reach out to you?
We get a lot of anabolic steroid users.
No shit.
Yeah, honestly, it's surprising. Really? Yeah, people actually use drugs. I know you're natural, but
yeah, I'm natural.
Natural fucking arsehole. But I have a background in anabolics, apart from also experimenting quite severely on myself. Over the years, I've gained a reasonable knowledge and understanding of these drugs, how they work and what they do in the body. So a lot of our customer base is people with anabolics, and when you go to your doctor, they just won't touch the subject. It's not, they can't, you know, their training doesn't allow them to advise around the recreational use of things like anabolic steroids. They are a controlled drug. They are quite strictly regulated, and doctors just can't tell you stuff. So their default answer is don't use, stop. That's pretty much all you're ever going to get from them. Whereas we will discuss what you're doing and how you can reduce the risks you're exposing to. and at the same time improve the benefits that you're trying to get from using those drugs. So it's a non-judgmental. We also deal with, I wouldn't say a lot, but we deal with a decent number of recreational drug users. We look after quite a few DJs.
So is your service your service like confidential, private, so people can do private?
Yeah, it's non-judgmental. I don't give a flying monkeys what you do, but it's also honest. If you're doing something that's harming you, we'll tell you. You know, this is damaging you. If you continue at this, you're going to have problems. But you can not always fix it, but you can offset some of the risk you're creating by doing X, Y, Z. So, I mean, that's the basis of it.
So basically, the overview of what you do, you provide a service for bodybuilders who are fucking abusers. They don't know they're abusing themselves. So you tell them, listen, mate, you need to calm the fuck down. You know what I mean? Sort your health out. If you don't, you're going to drop off dead. And a lot of them will say to you, but Dave, can I still take this, this, and that? No, you can't. You need to stop everything and normalize your body and get your health markers in check. And then you've got people who pretend they're natty and they come to you for the blood test and they're not fucking natty, are they?
We get a little bit of that. Moreover, what we'll get is people that will come with their partner or a friend and don't want to admit in front of them that they're using anabolics. Yeah, exactly. It's very, very rare I've had to tell someone to actually stop what they're doing. Normally, it's just a case of, look, you need to either do this, do that, or a little bit of downtime. But yeah, there's a lot of people that take anabolics that just don't understand the impacts that the drugs have in the body. A lot as well around people that think they're doing TRT. So a lot of people think TRT is a mil a week. It's not. It's probably closer to half a mil a week, but it really should be based on where the drugs you're taking put the levels in your body. You start running things higher, you're going to start creating complications. They can be managed to some extent, but at the end of the day, you do need time away from the drugs, or at least at a much lower dose, to allow your body to sort of normalize, health markers get back in range, and then you can push again. You're not going to grow if you're unhealthy, or should I say you're not going to grow as well if you're unhealthy. So, you know, it's not just about reducing risks and harms. It's also about actually creating a scenario where you get the most benefit out of what you're doing. I do a lot of work with unis. I do a lot of work away from this with an organization called ASUK. And I'm chairman of an organization called the Public Expert Advisory Board. And we discuss a lot around, as a harm reduction services, can we advise on dose? And it's like, well, yeah, if you make people's results more efficient, ultimately they'll use less drugs. So they'll be healthier and fitter.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing about it, Dave, is like we live in a society now, like, let's be honest, everybody's saying, oh, yeah, they use less drugs. They use less drugs. But if they're using less drugs, why is there more and more bodybuilders with health problems? So it basically means one thing. They're all lying SOBs.
Well, I don't think, in general, drug usage has gone up, not just in the number of people using, but also in the amount people are using. Yeah. Without doubt. It's probably not so much at a pro level. Though, look, there will always be people use huge amounts. There'll always be those people that use absolutely bugger all and grow like a weed. You will always get those outlawing people.
Yeah.
But in general, pros do seem to have generally lowered their doses slightly. And they're not anywhere near as high as what the general public perceives them to be. In general, not everybody, but in general. Where you see the big usage is actually in the amateur ranks. And sometimes in the classes you wouldn't, or the athletes you just wouldn't expect it, you know, like men's physique guys. Some of them guys are using huge stacks. Same with like bikini girls, bikini
Yeah.
girls.
What do you think is the main thing of people taking more drugs in bodybuilding is down to not more underground steroids on the market, so they're not as potent as they used to be from the 80s and 90s?
I'm not so sure. My personal opinion is twofold. The first thing is, in the 80s and 90s, the people that were into bodybuilding and into powerlifting and strongman were the hardcore sort of individuals. And in the sense that it was a niche sport, it wasn't popular. Getting older anabolics was difficult. And even if you found someone that would sell them to you, they were actually quite limiting in what they would give you. You almost had to serve an apprenticeship before you were allowed to get on the hardest stuff, so to speak. And the focus was very much on training. Training was celebrated. The gyms had a really good atmosphere. You'd go in a gym and you'd know everybody in there. You'd never have to ask. You'd never have to ask for a spot. Somebody would just appear. And so training was definitely a badge of honor. If you were a hard trainer, you were recognized as such, and you were admired as such.
The thing was, you got to remember in them days, like talking 20 years ago, gyms are not like gyms they are now. It just used to be basically one room, 1,000 square foot, even if that. They would have a bench there, would have a squat rack there, and a lat machine, and maybe cable crossovers if you're lucky, or a leg press if you're very lucky. And people used to, you used to have them YMCA gyms. Do you know what I mean? Where it was the regular big guys there training, and a little scrawny guy like myself would come along on a Saturday to have a little workout, and they'd be like, oh, this kid's going to give up after a couple of weeks. And they'll see you come in again, and they respect that. You come in there. You're not hanging about on street corners, pissing about, buying what's in that crisp with these young girls and getting drunk, and you know what I mean, just loitering around. But it's like the thing you've got now is people who are selling drugs to bodybuilders are not bodybuilders. They're selling it to make money. It's a business. Yeah. In them days, these bodybuilders, these people who train, it was very hard for them to get drugs, and they wouldn't give anybody them drugs because they knew it's hard for themselves to get them. So you would have to earn that.
Yeah, there was that, but like you said, bodybuilders sold to bodybuilders, and you were taught by bodybuilders in the gym how to train. Fast forward, we've got much bigger industry, in the sense of there's so many more people involved. Yeah. People don't understand the hard work. People don't, in my opinion anyway, people don't know how to train and don't know how to train. It's not so much that they don't know how to train hard, they don't know how to train effectively hard. Yeah. And they get frustrated through a lack of progress. They move to drugs. The drugs create progress, so they want to stay with the drugs. They don't think, right, okay, what am I doing wrong with my training? How can I train harder? How can I stick to my diet harder? There's a drug now that's fixing all my problems. And that's a very common scenario. And I think we've all done it at some point in our careers where we've leaned on a drug probably a bit more than we should have done because our training's not quite on point or our diet's not quite on point. And we know that if we do this, we can get through it or we get away with it or whatever.
Yeah, basically, you know yourself, but people won't like to admit it. When you're on a cycle, you feel superhuman. You know what I mean? And you can go into the gym whether you had 1 meal that day or whether you had 6 meals that day, whether you've had a late night partying or whether you haven't. It makes up for that, deficit. Deficit.
And it's very easy to drop into that mindset of more drugs. If I take more drugs, I'm going to get bigger. Yeah. And it's, I mean, I've been there. I've definitely been there.
Oh, yeah.
But I think...
Guys, if you don't know, Dave did a documentary series about him getting up to, how much was the weight?
415 pounds at 6'1".
Yeah, 415 pounds. Big slab of sweaty mess. And he's been there, he's done it. He knows what the consequences are. He knows what you have to do and how much toll it takes on your body. And that's why Dave is now in the business of giving back to people who are trying to do the same thing, because now in bodybuilding, it's a big thing now. Oh, I'm 300 pounds, 300 pounds. Yeah, you're 300 pounds, but if you're going to compete, actually, how much weight have you actually put on a muscle? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like people aim for this magic number, 300 pounds, think it's going to bring them a better physique. But all they're doing is, you know yourself, Dave, I've seen it. I've been at that chasing the weight game. You're chasing the weight, and then you're getting up to a certain weight where you get to a point where you're getting out of breath. Your training is being hindered. You can't get them extra reps up because your cardiovascular system is not on point. That's why when people think, like bodybuilders think, cardio is the enemy. Yeah, it is to a certain point, but you have to do it to get them last reps out. Them last reps will count. You got to ask yourself, could I not do that last rep because I was out of breath, or was I muscle fatigued? And there's a question to ask.
At 365, I felt I looked good. I had a reasonable level of condition for the size I was.
Yeah.
I could train hard. I could move. You know, I could still function. At 415, I was fatter, but I was also muscularly bigger.
Yeah.
But I was actually weaker, and I couldn't train as hard, and I couldn't move as well. And you know, that extra weight was really counterproductive. But I think it's the certain things you sort of have to go through. But I think the vast majority of people, going back to the actual question, drug use is at an all-time high, both in numbers and volume, particularly in the like I said, the amateur ranks. And my personal belief is a lot of it is because people, one, just don't know how to train. And two, well, let me put it this way. If you remove drugs, if steroids just didn't exist, snap his fingers, Thanos, all steroids disappear.
Yeah.
Probably only 15% of the people that are currently committed to bodybuilding would continue in the sport.
Exactly. Maybe less than that even. Let's be honest.
Because they don't have that basic underlying drive that they just want to train hard and they enjoy training hard.
Yeah, because a lot of people are motivated by social media, not motivated by training. Yeah. In this day and age now, what can you say is the main difference in bodybuilding from 20 years ago to now?
I genuinely, truly believe, well, there's a few. But for me, I don't think people take training seriously enough anymore. That's, and I know it sounds a bit, but it's true. I don't see the level of commitment to training that I used to see. I think people are strict with diets and that side of things. In fact, if anything, diets are probably more focused on than they were 20 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago, it was eat enough protein and then fill up with whatever else you had left. It wasn't.
Yeah. I think people are more like, they can stick to a diet, but what I think they find the problem is a lot of bodybuilders and people start panicking when they're saying, "Oh my God, I'm doing 45 minutes cardio. Oh, I'm doing an hour cardio." Listen, there was times when I had to do 2 hours cardio. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I get the other thing is I remember loads of times going to train a body part. Now, I've always liked medium, low volume and high frequency, so you repeat it quite regularly.
Yeah.
I remember loads of times going into doing quads again, and they were still sort of tender from the time before. And it's like, you know, people were messaging, you know, I haven't recovered. And it's like, look, pain isn't actually an indication of recovery.
Yeah.
So, you know, you actually recover quite quickly, but people just seem to be, I don't know if scared is the right word, but they're reluctant to push that hard, and they don't realize how capable they are. I mean, the amount of people, and if people are watching, the 3 people that will probably end up watching this,
Yeah.
if you,
me, you, and Joe. Yeah. Me,
Yeah.
you, and both.
If you know, it's like, if you're really honest, when you fail, do you fail in a set, or do you get to the point where you don't think you can get another?
Mm.
And most people will stop a set at the point where they don't think they can get another, not where they actually fail and can't get another.
Yeah.
And I think, and that half rep of whatever it may be goes a very long way to improving your development at the rate at which you grow, because that's the business end of the set. That's the end when the muscle is really under load and stress. That's when you're recruiting the most fiber, and
Yeah.
that's when you're going to stimulate the most signal for growth.
Yeah.
And all right, it's easy on something like biceps. You know what I mean? There's no risk with a bicep curl, but when you're under a squat bar,
Yeah.
that is intimidating. And yeah, I get that. I've stepped out with squat bars and just thought, holy, yeah, shit myself. Absolutely shit
Literally.
myself.
Yeah, literally.
And yeah, I've done that as well. But
Mm.
you know, I was always quite an aggressive and noisy trainer, but it was always because I was trying to overpower those fear aspects and
You just,
push myself where I
you're just,
didn't want to go.
you're just aggressive anyway, Dave. Fuck's sake. You need some anger management.
I do. You're right. Well, actually, I
Yeah.
don't. I just have you. You're my stress doll. I just take it out on
I
you.
know. That's why you always say, "Oh, are you training Friday?" Then you'll be like, "Yeah, I'll fucking come down and show them." Then I turn up to the gym. I'm all nice and happy, and then you turn up with that fucking face, like a fucking
It's
bulldog.
the only one I've got.
Well, at least smile sometimes. Smile. Yeah, there you go. See, you can be cute.
It
You
just
know what
looks
I mean?
like I've got wind.
Yeah. Listen. So I think the main difference from before to now is that before, training used to be number one, nutrition used to be number two, and then it was drugs. So somebody would at least train for a year or so consistently before you even thought about stepping on a cycle or even trying something. But now you've got somebody, it's like drugs number one, then it's the food, and then it's training at end.
Oh
So
yeah, I've had people message me that have bought their cycles before they've even paid for a gym membership.
yeah, it's like this is the craziest thing. I was in gym, man, about a couple of months back, and I remember these two skinny lads training, and they've got acne on their back and everything. They got this vest on, and both of them training. And I was just like just waiting between my set, and I just heard him say to his mate, "I think we're ready to step on a cycle. We've been training for a month." And I just like shook my head, like I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, you know what I mean? Like a month,
Yeah, but I mean, that's society in general, isn't it? You know, we want everything now. We want everything instant. You know, I mean, it's cultural as well. It's a much broader thing than just within bodybuilding. I mean, as a species, we want instant results. We want instant gratification. We want information at our fingertips.
Yeah.
You know, we want everything to be. I mean, even from a business point of view, we get people messaging at 9, 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday and a Sunday, and they expect responses. They expect you to be open because that's the society we live in now. Everything is 24 hours a day. Everything is instant. You know, it's all next day delivery and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
that
You're
sort of
right.
attitude carries over into everything. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, my vitamin D's low. Right, okay, I'll get some more sun exposure. No, I'll take vitamin D. Oh, right, my folate is low. All right, I'll increase my dark leafy greens in my diet. No, I'll just take folate. You know, and we are in a society where there's a pill fix or a quick and easy solution fix for
Like,
everything. And it's the positive of technology advancement, but it's at the same time the negative of positive, you know, of technology advancement.
the problem you got is, Dave, we live in a smart society now. Everything's become smartphones, smart cars, smart TV. But the problem is the humans are getting dumbed down. So they stop thinking for themselves. Like you tell me now, you got an app for everything. You got an app what does everything for you now. True? You know, you got
Yeah.
an app will order your Uber. You got an app will order your food for you. You got an app will order the food for the next year for you if you schedule it in. You know, so that's the thing. What you've got nowadays, is you got an app for everything. You don't have to think for yourself. Like you got AI apps then what can write you your GCSE results. Do you know what I mean? People don't have to think no more. Remember, when you was in school, you had to do maths on a piece of paper. You didn't have any calculators or anything like that. You know? So this is the situation we're living in. Everybody wants everything now, and they don't want to wait for nothing. So you know, when people are actually, you know, there's no patience no more. Nobody wants to wait 6 months for a year now. Do you know what I mean? So we're easy to comply. People are easier to listen now, easier to control. And this is a society we're living in, you know, and this is going into the world of conspiracy now. If you start
we're not going there. Shut the fuck
up. Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I don't want to dwell into that area.
Put your tinfoil hat on. Come on.
Shut up, Mr. Triangle. Okay. Yeah, so the thing about...
I'm not a triangle. I'm round. I'm bulbous in shape.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Everybody wants it now. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to wait for it. Like, you know, you're seeing young kids now, and you've got these influencers that are getting younger and younger. And there's people what call themselves the trend twins, and the teenagers, like, what the fuck? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you know, you can get famous and you can get rich from the simplest of things. The Hawk to It girl, the girl that was on a random reel, who was talking about spitting on partners' members, and that went viral. And now she has a merchandising line. She's bringing in £300,000-400,000 a year on merchandise sales alone. And it happens, and people do get very successful off the weirdest things. But then you've got now people aspiring to that because they see it as, oh, she's done no work. She may have done no work in the initial situation, but she's working now to maintain that. And that's what people don't see. So they think there's a way to get results without actually getting work. Without actually doing work, sorry. And there is to a small extent, but anything that's sustainable, anything that's going to be worth anything is going to require work. And as a person, we actually don't value things unless we've put effort and work into achieving them. If they come easy, we have no value to them. We don't attach value to them. And I know some of the African charities and stuff, they will actually get the villagers to, in a way, pay for the aid. They'll get them to bring something, to trade something, because then they see it as that they've earned the aid they're getting, and therefore it's valuable to them, and then they don't become reliant on it. They don't sit there and think, oh, well, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to go out and work. I don't need to try and make a buy because I'll get an aid parcel. And that's a problem that has occurred in the past. So it's...
The thing you got, Dave, is it's like a perfect example I'll give to you is like, people know that, you know, I do diets and training plans and stuff. Like, you know, yourself do that as well, online coaching, you know. So, you know, you got your clients and you'll get somebody who's a friend or something else say, oh, Dave, can you sort me a diet out? And I get the same as well. And, you know, if you give that diet free to that person, they don't value it. They don't follow it. You'll ask them in a month's time or something. They'll say, oh, yeah, I'm going to start it. That's why I don't give nothing free to people, even friends, because I know if I give it free, they're not going to follow it. They need to be accountable. When they're paid for something, then at least they know they paid for it. So if they don't do it, then they're a stupid little shit.
There's when you get someone to invest in something financially, they are more likely to follow it because they've invested in it. They've put something into it themselves. But I mean, you've only got one friend, and that's me. So you don't have to worry about giving out free diets. Because do I look like a diet? Do I bollocks?
Well, you do give out some type of diets, don't you?
Well, McDonald's and pies and cake and stuff, yeah. But
so you know, I mean, that's why we meet up on the weekend on our cheat day.
Oh, your cheat day. You mean your chicken burgers that you never had because you said you bought them for the dogs?
They were for the dogs.
Yeah.
Look,
listen, you can't carry a lie on this long. You
listen.
have to admit at some point that you were eating the chicken burgers. For those who watch, don't understand this, Zach was on a diet and he got chicken burgers and then tried to claim they were for the dogs.
Listen, no speak Anglais. I don't understand what you're saying. No speak it. So let's move on to the final bit, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
For today's, since you know, I mean, I know you're a busy guy. Everybody is busy, so I'm busy. People think we just sit around on our ass do fuck all day. You know what I mean? I do.
Zach does. He doesn't do anything.
Okay, yeah. I'll take that for today off him because he's a bully. Yeah. So Dave, come on now. Let's talk about one important message what we can leave people with this week. Is there something you can give advice to your former self 20 years ago? What would it be?
You could have prepared me for this. Jesus Christ. Drop questions like that on me at last minute.
This is the point.
What,
stop being a bully?
You know, I mean, people may think that, I mean, those that don't know, I've got quite a few health problems based around the fact that I took so many drugs and I was as big as I was. But for the most part, you know, I quite like where I am. I'm in a position now where things are pretty good, and I think if I changed anything, I wouldn't be there. Okay, the one thing I struggled with for a long time was facing myself, was coming to terms with me. And I think a lot of people go through their life and never actually do that. You need to learn to see who you are. This is who I am, not I'm a bad person because of this or I'm a good person because of this. Just simply, this is who I am. And then from there, decide what you want to change, what you don't want to change. And the simple truth is, if you perceive the cost of changing is greater than the reward you get from the change, you won't change. Yeah. And you see this with people who want to diet. If they don't see the weight loss as being super beneficial, then it's very unlikely they'll stick to the diet because they'll find the diet too challenging. It's only when they find the reward to be greater than the effort it requires to get there that people actually do something to change. It's like, that's one of the things around training is the reward was the training itself. So then the benefits of that training about getting bigger and stronger came as a given because the training itself was the reward. Yeah. So, and I think it took me a lot of years, well into my late 30s, early 40s, before I actually became at peace with who I was. That doesn't mean I didn't like everything about myself or I didn't want to change aspects of myself, but I accepted who I was and I accepted what I'd done. Then I could, once I'd done that, I could then start looking at how I can improve myself and be a better person and be better and stop making the same mistakes I was continually making. And I was continually making the mistakes because I was continually denying acceptance of what I'd done or what I was doing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people need to realize they will come to a point where they're not the top dog, you know what I mean, anymore. And your physique is not going to be getting better, but you still can carry on your fitness journey. And you got to realize that just because, you know, you can't make your whole identity around your physique. Your identity has to come from yourself, your personality, and realize that this body is just a vessel, you know what I mean, for this life. So whether you're big, small, fat, ugly, whatever, like Dave, I have to put up with him no matter how he looks, and you know, and that's Dave, and I'm happy with that. So if he's like 800-pound muscly, which he's not, so that's okay. You know, he can be 100-pound skinny rat, you know what I mean, which is fine, and I'll put up with that. But I'll put up with that. That's the thing, because it's the personality. It's you as a person should come through. Your personality should be shining through. Your body is just that, a body. So, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, you have to come to the terms with that. Why am I carrying on harming my body anymore? What, for the sake of just being bigger, to be comfortable, to make people happy? Fuck people. You need to make yourself happy. And thus, because you're never going to get through life pleasing everyone.
No, you've got to. You've definitely got to give from a base of personal happiness.
Yeah.
I think so many people look for personal happiness in trying to make other people happy, and as a result, ultimately end up miserable. If you want to be truly happy, you've got to find yourself, accept yourself, and be happy in yourself. And people will notice that. People are attracted to happiness. They're attracted to happy people.
Yeah, like the thing about it is, you know yourself, and sometimes you'll wake up in the morning and you'll go to work and you'll see some fucking miserable fucker, and you'll be like, "Oh, why the fuck have I seen that fucker this morning?"
That's called a mirror.
I haven't got a mirror in my house, so it must be fucking you in this podcast.
No, you look at your reflection in every shiny surfaces you pass.
Oh, give over! I'm not
shop windows, car windows, everything. Honestly, you want to go out with him? He's terrible.
If I had hair, I would be looking in every car window and doing my quiff.
Oh, you know what I mean? I've seen you with hair. That was not a look.
Give over, you. I want to. Have you ever had hair?
Yeah.
When you were 2 years old.
Oh,
and you got bald. You got bald by the time you were 5.
I think I started shaving bald when I was about 40.
40?
Huh?
You got bald when you were 40?
No, I started shaving it off when I was 40. I'm not actually bald. I've got a bald patch, but I'm not actually bald.
So what type of hairstyle did you have, like an afro?
I actually, naturally, my hair get long. Usually it was sort of flat top-ish. But if my hair gets long, it's quite wavy.
Dave, you have to send me a picture of yourself with hair, and I have to post it. Here.
All right, I'll find it. There is one. I'll find it.
And I'll post my picture of myself with hair. I look like Elvis Presley.
You do look a complete knob. I know you look a complete knob.
I had a quiff and then I looked like I did the Elvis walk after fucking you train legs with. You know what I mean? When I train legs with you, can't fucking walk. I'm like fucking shaking Steven. You know what I mean? So listen, we're going to leave everybody on this first episode with Dave, and we're going to leave with the message of patience is the virtue and acceptance is the key for this Sunday. So everybody say, praise the Lord, amen, hallelujah. Get to your churches, get to your mosque, and start praying, okay? Because we need to pray more, because Dave needs prayer.
Why did I agree to doing this?
Okay. So I want to say thank you to Dave, my very best friend.
Your only friend.
Yeah, my only friend now, unfortunately. Yeah. So,
you're the only friend that doesn't have 4 legs.
I've got 3. Close
3
enough.
friends. 3. Well, I think one of them doesn't like you, to be honest. So only 2 you.
All right, I said 3 legs, not 3 friends. Get with the program, Dave.
Look, you've got 3 dogs, and one of them doesn't like you. So you have not got 3 legs.
All right, Dave, listen.
Right, go away.
You have a good day. You have a good day today. Like Dave is going to a clinic today. He does clinics every Sunday all around the UK. If you want to know more about his clinics and services, I'm going to put the details on bottom of this this podcast, so you can check him out. You can stalk him. You can ask him stupid questions.